I'm going to tell you something I have never told my parents, my friends, or even my husband. I am a Muslim woman who grew up hearing about jinn in stories, in Quran class, in the khutbahs about the unseen. I used to think I understood what fear was. I was wrong. The night I saw a figure shapeshift into Taylor Swift in front of my house, Allah showed me what it really means to feel the cold breath of the unseen on your neck. It was last winter, a little after Isha, the kind of night where the air feels heavy, like it's storing secrets. I live on a quiet street, the kind where the streetlights hum and flicker instead of actually lighting anything. My parents had gone to a wedding, my little brother was at a friend's house, and I was alone, finishing up my Quran revision in the living room. I remember because I had just recited, "Say, I seek refuge in the Lord of Daybreak," and my voice had trembled on the verse about those who blow on knots. When I finished, I put the mushaf down and checked my phone. My friend had sent me a clip from a Taylor Swift music video saying something silly about how we used to sing her songs in high school. I watched 5 seconds on mute, rolled my eyes and locked my phone. I didn't know that image of her face, frozen on my screen for a split second, would come back to me in a way that still makes my skin crawl. The heater downstairs had been acting strange all week, making these low banging noises in the pipes. That night it was louder. There'd be silence, then a dull thud, like someone knocking from inside the walls. I tried to ignore it, telling myself it was just air in the pipes. But then I heard another sound, not from the heater, from outside. It was a soft scraping, like shoes on pavement, right in front of our gate. Then it stopped. Then, very slowly, it started again. Drag, step, drag, step. I went to the window, moved the curtain just a little with my fingers, and looked through the gap. There was a woman standing outside my house. Her back was turned to me. She was right under the streetlight, but somehow the light just slid off her, like it didn't want to touch her. Her hair was light-coloured, falling straight down her back. She wore a long coat that looked beige or off-white, but the edges seemed smudged, like my eyes couldn't focus on them. She wasn't doing anything, just standing there, facing our gate, not moving, not checking her phone, not adjusting her clothes, just a still, vertical shape. I told myself, maybe she's lost, maybe she's waiting for an Uber. I pulled my phone out to check if any car was nearby, but as I glanced down, the scraping sound started again. Drag, step, drag, step. Slower this time. I looked back. She was closer to the gate without having taken a step that I'd seen. The space between her and the gate was smaller now, like reality had folded in on itself. I felt this pressure in my ears, the way you feel when you're on a plane. My heart started pounding, not in my chest, but in my throat. I remembered something I'd heard in a lecture. Ibn Taymiyyah said that jinn can appear in different shapes, even in the form of humans and animals, and that they are iyal al-ins. They interact with us more than we realize. My mouth went dry. I stepped away from the window. I wanted to pretend she wasn't there. I went to the kitchen, turned on the tap, and washed my hands just to hear a normal sound. The water was too loud, splashing in the sink, but it helped. I whispered, Bismillah alladhi la yadurru ma'a ismihi shay'un, under my breath. In the name of Allah, with whose name nothing on earth or in heaven can harm. When I turned the tap off, the house felt wrong. too quiet. I could hear the faint buzz of the refrigerator, the ticking of the wall clock, and underneath it all, like a thread pulling tight, drag, step, drag, step. But now it was on the gravel of our driveway. I didn't want to look. Every part of me told me not to. But some small, stubborn part of my mind said, "You're being ridiculous. It's just a woman. Go check." So I went back to the living room, each step feeling like I was walking deeper into water. I pushed the curtain aside a little more and looked out. She was right in front of our gate now, still speaking away. Her head tilted slightly, like students. I realized with a cold stab of dread that she was standing perfectly between the broken patches of light from the street lamp, in a strip of darkness that shouldn't have been that dark. It was like a shadow had chosen her from abstract itself around her ankles. I coping about calling my parents, but what would I say? Then he's a woman outside. So I did the only thing that made sense to me. I striking Ayat al-Kursi, quietly at first, then a little louder, my lips trembling. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer. As I reached, they do not encompass anything of His knowledge except what His words. Her head moved. Just a fraction. Not turning fully, just tilting a bit more, like something in the air had disturbed her. Like my recitation had tugged on an invisible thread tied to her spine. I froze, my voice cut off. I knew, deep in my gut, that even though the windows were closed and my voice was barely above a whisper, I remembered the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, "The shaitan runs through the son of Adam like blood." If a whisper can reach us from them, why couldn't a verse reach them from us? The silence stretched. The heater pipes banged once, sharply, like a warning. I whispered, "A'udhu bikalimatillahi tammati min sharri ma khalaq." I seek refuge in the perfect words of Allah from the evil He has created. And then she moved. Very slowly, as if the air was thick, she turned around. For half a second, I saw Taylor Swift. Not kind of like her, not a passing resemblance. It was her. The exact face from the paused video on my phone. The same soft waves of hair framing porcelain skin. The same eyes, same mouth, like a cardboard cutout had stepped off the screen and onto my driveway. She looked straight at me. And then her face rippled. It was like I was looking at a reflection in water and someone had thrown a stone into it. Her features melted and flowed, stretching, sagging, twisting. The eyes widened too far, then sank too deep. The mouth narrowed into something too thin, then tore at the corners as if the skin remembered older shapes. The skin itself darkened in patches, then lightened, then cracked like old paper. Her forehead seemed to lengthen, the nose sharpened and curved. The jaw became somehow both gaunt and swollen. Behind all the shifting, for a split second I felt, not saw, felt something else. Something agents, something that had watched people die in deserts before cities even existed. Something that knew the exact shade of terror in my eyes and enjoyed it. My knees nearly buckled. I stumbled back from the window, dropping the curtain. My heart was beating so hard it hurt. I couldn't scream. It felt like my voice had been stolen. All I could do was whisper, "La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah." Something touched the glass. A faint tap, like a fingernail. Then another. Scrape, tap, scrape. It was right at the spot where my face had been a moment before. I squeezed my eyes shut, but I could feel her, no, it, on the other side of the thin pane, like a pressure against my forehead, testing the barrier. I remembered what my Ustada had said. The jinn are real, but they cannot harm you except by the permission of Allah. Your house should be a fortress of Quran. I grabbed the mushaf with shaking hands and forced myself to speak. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. My voice cracked, but I kept going. I started reciting Surah Al-Baqarah from the beginning, even though I knew I wouldn't get far. Alif, Lam, Mim. This is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those conscious of Allah. The tapping grew faster, more impatient, like rain that wanted to become hail. Then, suddenly, it stopped. The citations hit me like a wave. I opened my eyes. The hatred pipes were quiet. The refrigerator hummed calmly. I could hear my own ragged breathing, too loud in the stillness. I swallowed and forced myself to look at the window again. The curtain hung motionless. No shadow behind it, no tapping, no scraping. I edged forward, every muscle in my body screaming at me to stop. With 2 fingers, I lifted the curtain. The driveway was empty, the gate was closed, the streetlight flickered once, then went back to its weak glow. There was no woman, no Taylor Swift face, no rippling monstrosity, just the quiet, stale air of a winter night. I stayed like that for a long time, my forehead pressed against the cold glass, repeating Ayat al-Kursi over and over until my tongue felt numb. I didn't sleep until Fajr. I left every light in the house on. The next day, after my parents came home and I heard the normal chaos of my family, I checked the driveway. The gravel near the gate was disturbed, as if someone had stood there for a long time, shifting their weight. But there were no clear footprints, just smudges, like the ground itself had tried to forget the shape that stood on it. I went to my room, closed the door, and opened a book of tafsir. Ibn Kathir on the verse, "Indeed, he sees you, he and his tribe, from where you do not see them." He explained that Shaitan and his helpers see us from angles we cannot see them, and that our only refuge is remembrance of Allah. I realized something that made my skin crawl all over again. That night, it had let me see it. Not fully, not in its true form. They can't, according to the scholars, show us what they really are. But it had stolen the image from my mind, the last face I had seen on my phone, the face of a famous singer, and worn it for a moment like a joke, a mockery. Then it had shown me a glimpse of something older underneath, just enough to break my sleep for months. I still don't listen to music videos alone at night. I don't scroll mindlessly before bed. Instead, I recite Ayat al-Kursi, the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, and the Mu'awwidat, the last 3 surahs. I remind myself of the hadith, "Do not turn your houses into graves. Indeed, Shaitan flees from the house in which Surah Al-Baqarah is recited." And sometimes when I pass the living room window after Isha, I feel something just outside the edge of my vision, watching, waiting, testing the fortress. But I also know what Allah says. Indeed, the plot of Shaitan is weak. Weak in front of his words, weak in front of his protection. The unseen is real, and what I saw was only a drop of that ocean. We cannot trust our eyes or the faces that smile back at us from screens, but we can trust the one who created sight and veiled the unseen from us out of mercy. At the end of the night and at the edge of every shadow, indeed, Allah is the best of protectors.